I was alive. Stay. And I was station when I am and the strike is no job. I don't know. You will be sure how I become and the starting at the mission to come up. I'm on hope.
Hello, hello. Welcome to another live Radical Republican live show. I tricked you today. Tricked you today with a little bit of a different intro. Maybe y'all can hear it, maybe you can't, but I'm jamming over here. I believe y'all can hear it. I can log in pretty good. It's, well, we are live Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope y'all had a good week. Hope y'all had a good week. And hey, Carolyn over there and on YouTube. On YouTube, we got a special guest today. Another, he's been here before. He'll be back in a second. So, in the meantime, while I'm putting up my guest here, I'm gonna get to my sponsor. The guest is it's in the back room. I see him back there. So my sponsor, of course, is Supermassive Black Coffee. Are you tired of the same old corporate coffee diluted with and devoid of character? It's time to take a break. It's time to break free from the chains of mediocrity with Supermassive Black Coffee. Crafted from 100% organic beans, this coffee is fire roasted in a Victorian era roaster, a relic from an age when the craftsman thrived. This unique process allows the flames to craft bean, unlocking bold, rich flavors with dark chocolate undertones and a smooth, smoky finish. In a time of soaring coffee prices and supply chain disruptions, Supermassive Black Coffee stands as a beacon of quality and resilience. While others compromise, this brand remains steadfast, delivering a brew that defies convention and invites coffee lovers to explore the depths of flavor and mystique. Join the rebellion against the mundane. Visit supermassiveblackcoffee.com and use code MAMBA, MAMBA, for 20% off your order. Embrace the conspiracy and sip the mystery. Hello over there, Lisa. I see ya. Oh, man, I don't know what's going on with the music. The music thing comes and goes, so it is what it is. No, we jam when we can because my other system is just too old, and the new system, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, we just rock over here on my end anyway. Maybe we'll get it fixed at some point. But I see over there, K9 Girl. I see you can't find it on Rumble. Here, let me try to uh, hit you up, K9 Girl. See if I can send the link over to you somehow or some way. But just go ahead and Jerome Bell. You can find it. You can find one of the one of them, but you should have the link anyway. So, but without further ado, I'm gonna bring in my man. I always bring him back, man, when I need a shot of testosterone. Need to have a conversation with a man's man. This is my buddy and my friend, JJ Carrell. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me back. The world's on fire, isn't it?
Man, is it on fire, man? I don't even know where to start, man. I mean, we got the Charlie thing that went down, and you and I haven't spoke since then.
No.
Since before that, that was a travesty, I believe, a total assassination by some foreign government. That's just me and my thinking, but it's something fishy going on there. The FBI is not doing a great job on that.
Why
But
do you think
hey man, but
that?
I know we. Mhm.
Why do you think that? I'm curious before I tell you what I think. Why do you think that we have no idea who did it?
Well, I think we have an idea who did it, but we're just not saying who did it. Tyler Robinson didn't do it. I don't believe for one, one imagine, I don't imagine for 1 minute that he did it. Just looking at his profile, and it always seems to, these guys always have their internet, scraped and
Hmm.
when they do something, but there's never anything there on these guys. But I mean, just looking at the guy, he doesn't look like a shooter. He doesn't look like a hunter. From what I understand, looking at his background, he was a fisherman. He did fish, but he didn't hunt. I mean, it's just so much that went wrong, that day that I saw. I'm like, I mean, he's climbing up on a roof, supposedly with a rifle on his leg, and there's no CTV cameras got this guy up on the roof. There's cameras everywhere, but the CCTV cameras didn't pick up anybody, like on the roof. He had a distant camera. Of course, you can never see these people. It was just so much, man. And Cash Patel, I think, shit the bed on it because he was saying that, yeah, there maybe be some other people involved, but they never really went after anybody else. This gun couldn't be taken apart up on the roof, yet they found a screwdriver up on the roof. I mean, it's just so many, pieces to this that just doesn't make sense. None of it made sense at all. And then you have, of course, all the video coming out, of the different angles, the different views. You had the lapel, mic that Stu Peters put out that looked like it blew
Hmm.
up. I mean, so you have so much stuff. But I don't think the guy was shot with a 30-06 because I use a 30-06. I know what 30-06 does to deer and big game animals. There is no way that Charlie Kirk was Iron Man and that bullet was still in his neck right under the skin, not a 30-06. So I don't even think a 30-06 did it. At first I did. I say, hey, that's a sniper, man. That was a sniper, what I saw. But then, after I saw this footage of Stu Peters and the blowing lapel, that one makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I think nothing makes sense. Like when you look at it, nothing makes sense. I mean, some dude climbs up. This is this reminiscence of Donald Trump being trying to attempted assassination with the kid. This is the second young man in his 20s that has no social media. These are the only two people in the entire planet Earth that have no social media. Think about the coincidences of that. And then that young man, Tyler, texts his transgender gay lover furry and details exactly what he did. Now, after you committed a murder, you would have to have the most insane adrenaline dump to where you're almost just you can't move. And this kid is able to sit there with his thumbs and text perfectly exactly what he did. I mean, it goes against logic. And then right when Charlie Kirk is killed, they take him away, and then they start taking down the crime scene. I mean, it's law enforcement 101, man. The very first thing that a law enforcement guy would do is send somebody down there and say, nobody leaves, tape it off. Anybody that's in
Paper.
there, you have to get their name, their contact information. What in God's name are they doing in the crime scene? And then the university paves it over.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'll tell you the thing that makes
Yes.
me question everything, and this is what makes me question a lot of it. Watch his security detail. They do everything that a security detail would never do, and they do it almost as if they practiced it.
That's right.
They're
That's right.
handing stuff off to each other and they're running away. Where's
Unbelievable.
where's the FBI? And if you trust the FBI, you're a fool. You're an absolute fool. So this is going to go away, and no one's going to. They're going to talk about his death, but all this other stuff is going to go away. Just like Donald Trump. We don't even talk about Donald Trump
Looks
having
different for
assassinated.
everyone.
No.
No, you don't even talk about it anymore. I mean, and like you said, this 20-year-old kid with no social media and some text that sounds like AI wrote it, theoretically. I mean, none of that made any sense. I mean, kids don't even talk like that. I mean, I'm like, come on, Cash, come on, guys. And then, Cash comes up with, well, we don't even have the original note. It was a picture of a note. It wasn't even the original. of the text messages or the note that he sent his girlfriend. I mean, of whatever boyfriend or whatever that is. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. I mean, none of it makes sense. And if people out here trust, like I said, you trust in the FBI and you trust in what happened, and I totally believe that 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 the Mossad or something or Israel had something to do with it because Bibi's acting strange. I mean, who he actually texted the same time that Donald Trump did about the murder, and then he's on TV, the only person in the world leader in the world that's up there basically denying it and trying to blame someone else. Who does that? What world leader does that? So I mean, everything was just bizarre. And looking at Charlie over the last month and a half before it happened or whatever, how he was actually turning his outlook, his perspective on Israel wasn't too good for them. He was losing donors. I mean, all of that's true. I believe everything Candace is saying right now. Candace Owens is ripping it up. I think, and I believe pretty much everything that she says is true because Turning Point hasn't come back and said that she's lying. She put the challenge out there to Turning Point, the last episode I watched. If I'm lying, send a letter. Send a letter saying I'm lying. Send a letter telling me what I'm saying did not happen or is not true. And to my knowledge, they haven't done that yet.
Well, you know what I think the greatest achievement of the elites and the left and the Republicans as well is they put in an environment where no one trusts anything or anyone. Tyler Robinson, he could bend the shooter and it could be as clean as day. Like, okay, he's got the residue on his hands. I have the oil from the rounds in his magazine or on his shirt. We matched it. Everybody would say, I don't believe it because we have been lied to our whole entire lives. I'm going to tell you, 9/11 happened. I was in the Border Patrol. I was hell bent. Let's just go, go, go. I believe the narrative. I look now as an older adult that has been able to step back and I go, wait a minute. No one even told me about Building 7. How 47 or Building 7? How did that fall down? And they show me the video and I go, wait a minute. That's a demolition. What do you? Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, probably the most protected building outside the White House when the president's there is the Pentagon, and all you have to show me is a grainy video from the kiosk. You don't have any other cameras of goat herders taking over. The guy that flew the plane into the Pentagon, they said he could not even fly a prop plane. But he was able to basically land a jetliner and land it on the grounds of the. Come on, man! And then I'm watching as I get older. I'm looking at it from a different lens, the moon landing, and I'm thinking, my God, how powerful is propaganda? How could anybody believe that crap? So as I told my son, he asked me, well, Dad, I don't understand how we haven't gone back to the moon. Well, I said, son, you got to understand that technology in the 60s and 70s are way more advanced than they are today. And my son looked at me like, he said, Dad, that's insane. I go, that's the point, son. It's insane. And I tell my son, as I would tell your audience, I question everything. There's nothing I take at face value anymore. You present me with something, I don't care how clean it is, I'm looking at it from the lens of you're lying. You're lying to me somehow. You are, especially if it comes from the government. Absolute. All of them are liars.
I've taken so much heat, man, on everything that you mentioned. From day one, from 9/11, I didn't believe it because I understood the law of physics, right? I understood the law of physics, one, and where that plane hit, there is no way that those buildings would have fell on themselves. Jet fuel, I was in aviation for 27 years in the Navy. Jet fuel does not burn hot enough to burn through feet of steel. It doesn't burn hot enough to even burn steel or melt steel. But somehow it did on that day. Somehow it was the first time ever in the history of the world that a steel skyscraper building collapsed due to fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened 3 times in one day. It's just stuff
well,
like
come
that.
on, Building 7. Building 7 fell because But you know what's amazing? Those airplanes flew in and melted steel, like you said. However, passports were able to fly out of the plane in the fire and land on the ground untouched, and people walked up and goes, "Oh, look, I got evidence of their height." And you're like, "Oh my God, oh my God, people."
You know, and the moon, and you mentioned the moon landing. I've been saying that for years, man. People thought I was nuts. I'm like, okay, you guys will see. I mean, that's all I can say. You guys will see, man. We never went to the moon, you know, and I mean, it never happened. You just look at, like you said, you look at the footage now. You look at the little rover thing, the moon landing rover. That's how did that thing get down?
How did they get there? What did they tow it? Did they get a U-Haul trailer and tow it up there into space?
Right.
And you can't get through the Van Allen radiant belt, but they could then, and they did it the first try. Right? You know what the test is? Here's the test for anybody watching that has a young child, 7, 8 to 10. Sit them down and say, "Hey, I want you to see something. I want you to show you this movie," and play them the actual moon landing footage and watch their expression. I did that with my son, and my son, at about 10 at the time, said, "That's ridiculous. This is a horrible movie. Look at how Dad, this is all fake. Look at how bad the graphics are." And I'm like, yeah, okay. This is just my little test to make sure that I'm seeing things clearly, that a 10-year-old's looking at and going, "That's absurd. It's absurd."
Absolutely.
Think about what our government has lied to us about. Think about it. It's staggering.
I mean, everything. You know, we lied to about everything. And one of the things that I'm starting to do now, right? And I've been starting to take a lot of heat about it, is that AI is good in some aspects. You know, AI is taking over. It's dangerous. You know, I definitely believe in that. But in this one aspect, it was able to translate Hitler's speech.
Oh boy.
And I've always wondered, okay, as you know, growing up and seeing stuff, why we would always see this angry man in this foreign language that was never and they never translated to what it was saying. But now I'm listening to Hitler's speeches in English.
Mm-hmm.
And Hitler, well, Trump in 2016 was basically saying the same thing, a nationalist. I'm a nationalist. What Hitler was saying was he loved his country. He loved his people. He challenged his people to do better. And after World War I, Germany was destroyed, of course. And then the only country that came back and was prosperous, and I mean, you look at Germany prior to World War II, prior to the bombing, and it was flourishing. It was the only country flourishing. It was amazing for Germany. They had high-speed rail. Most people don't know this. They had high-speed rail before World War II, 1933.
But no one understands why they say the book burnings and all that. No, he was burning transgender and gay stuff.
Transgender, porn, you know, and that was and it was two rules. It was two laws that Hitler, the first two laws. No pornography, we're getting rid of that shit. Mm-hmm. And we're getting rid of usury. We're getting rid of interest. Mm-hmm. You know, and that made Germany prosperous. Everything that the people worked for, they took home and they spent in the economy, right? You know, and there was no more porn. There was none of that crap that we're dealing with now. And Hitler talked about the Bolsheviks. This is what we're dealing with now in the United States. We have a communist Bolshevik revolution going on right here in the United States. The exact same thing that Hitler's speeches were about.
What I find fascinating is the victors of war write history. And we were the victors, and we sat down and we wrote history. And then when you go, look, I find the Hitler aspect fascinating, because now, like we've been told, like we're just sitting here talking about Auschwitz, over 1 million Jews were cooked in crematory. I watched an incredible speech by a man he just sat there and said, this is what they have historically said, 53 ovens. 53 ovens running 24 hours a day with no cleaning, no breaking down, no anything. With technology almost 100 years ago, they could never do this. It's a lie.
Right.
So if they lied about that, then they lie about another camp. I forget, Dachau, maybe, but I might be
It was
wrong.
It was Dachau. It was That was
Is
the
that
other
where
one.
they dug up 700,000 bodies?
Mm-hmm.
So they dug up. Do you understand? Does anybody understand digging up 700,000 bodies? Can you even fathom that undertaking? And you're telling me that this is what they did? Were there war atrocities? Absolutely. I'm sure there were. But how about we all, you know what I love this? Candace Owens said, and I do believe in what she says, because you know why I believe, or at least I look into things she says? Because the moment she opens her mouth and says something that sounds completely common sense, they attack her. And they attack her.
Attacked, right?
They can't say racist because she's black, right? So they maybe an anti-Semite, but what they always use for her and people like her are, you're crazy. Oh, she's crazy. She's crazy. And you're like, no, actually, this sounds very. But she had a great point. Is what do you believe? So we have been taught ad nauseum growing up in school all about the Jews. The Jews, the Jews, the Jews. Well, shockingly, Christians were murdered at a far greater rate than the Jews were. I'm talking tens of millions in Russia, and we sided with Russia to save the Jews. Are you out of your look at when you start as you get? I don't know how you feel. As I get older and I continually learn more, I realize, my God, how ignorant I am, and I want to learn more and more and more.
Right?
Because everything I have been told is a lie, man. It's a lie.
Everything, man. And I've been watching and reading, General Patton, right? General Patton had this, one of his last speeches after he said, "We fought against the wrong enemy."
Yep.
He said Germany and the people of Germany was not our enemy. It was Russia. It was the Bolsheviks in Russia because, like you said, Stalin and Lenin, they killed more Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was in the millions. What it was like 20 million, I think.
20 to 30 million. Yep.
20 to 30 million.
But who were the Bolsheviks?
The Bolsheviks were the Jews.
They were. Why wouldn't they call them the Jews? Right?
In Russia. Yeah. They were the ones that they called the Jews in Russia. And they actually got ran out of Russia, and Germany accepted them.
And what happened to Germany?
And they went into Germany, and they took control. They were able somehow. And what I was reading and listening to last night, they were refugees, and they were given high positions in Germany, in banking, and that's why they started the usury and the interest. So they end up going there, and they end up destroying Germany's economy.
Mm-hmm.
And
think of this.
And Hitler.
Think of what you're just saying.
I mean, everything we've been told is a lie, man.
Okay, well, let's go past the World War II and talk about what happened to America. Everything you're saying happened to Germany happened to America. We did Operation Paperclip. All the, quote, Nazis were supposed to be killed. We brought thousands of them here, changed their names and IDs, put them in NASA, put them in all of our banking institutions, put them into all of our scientific and our academic. So they flourished inside the change agents of our world. We brought them into America and gave them the keys to our nation. Here's something, I don't know if you know this, and I didn't know this until I interviewed one of the major MK Ultra survivors, Dr. Juliet Engel. And she said to me, she says, do you know where they housed all of the documents for Operation Paperclip, where it had everyone's name, who got changed, what? I said, no, I don't. I'm sorry. She goes, that would be the Oklahoma
City. But
yep.
They had a lot of those things in Building 7 too. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, Oklahoma City, and man,
they're lying to us in real.
This is why, like I say, we're in a fight still with the Bolsheviks, man. We're in a fight with the Bolsheviks here in the United States.
Hey, you want to talk about? I mean, we have to talk about this. Is talking about being lied to our whole life. I'm a Christian. I'm assuming you are too. My whole life I'm Catholic. Has been dominated from evangelicals all the way to Catholics beaten in my brain. God says we have to take care of Israel. God's chosen people. We have to take care of them, have to take care of them. As I got older, I go, my whole life I've been thinking, that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, but I didn't have the intellectual capacity or the ability to articulate why. And now I go back and read my Bible and I go, hold on a second. It's the New Testament. Jesus, God says those are not his chosen people. His chosen people are all of us. And then I look as an adult and I'm told my greatest ally, the United States of America's greatest ally, is a group of people that hate my Savior, mock him, say that he's burning in a boiling pot of piss in hell, scorn Virgin Mary, call her a whore, spit on us when we go there, and then we send billions and billions and billions of dollars to them every year to come and do propaganda against us. I say no more. I don't want a dime going to that illegitimate, vile government of Israel ever again. And I never want to hear God's chosen people. I never want to hear the lie that look at Ted Cruz misquotes the Bible for his justification of funding. And he should be ripped out of the Senate. Ripped out of the Senate just for being so damn ignorant and so arrogant that he knows better. He's making decisions for America's well-being on scripture that he's quoting wrong. That should scare everybody, man. Everybody.
That would just scare everybody, man. And it's unbelievable. And you mentioned that. I'm gonna see if I can pull up this clip real quick because I I was watching that again today because it was so wait a minute, I gotta get that here. It was so preposterous, and that this guy hit the wrong button. He couldn't even find where that was in the Bible, and two, let me see if I have it here. And two, he actually came out and said that his number one, I was watching that Organic Experience, I saw, but his number one goal was to, as Senate, was to defend and support Israel.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what?
Well, you know what? If we're going to be fair, yeah. And if we're going to be fair and honest, look, I could sit here and I could talk about how vile Ilhan Omar is and her complete her allegiance to Somalia. But what's different from that than Ted Cruz? There's no difference. There's none. In fact, I would probably say it's worse. Ted Cruz is worse. Somalia will never be anything but a third world piece of trash run by third world thugs. Israel's dominating our nation. How does less than 2% of our population obtain almost every major seat in boards, in corporate media, in our politicians, in banking, in entertainment? How's that? That's statistically impossible, except if they run everything, and they do.
Yeah, and I mean, like you say, in the government and all of the high agencies, you got the CDC, the FDA, you got all of these are ran by Jews, and people run away from that, but it's true. I mean, when you really get to looking into it, right? Because I was the same as you. I was brainwashed the same as everyone else. We have to support Israel. We have to do that. And and one thing that happened when I was running for Congress, right? Someone came up to me and they threw their arm around me and they pretty much asked me, my support. But I had already grew out of that. I had already started noticing, what was going on with Israel. And other than, people asking me, am I going to support Kevin McCarthy for speaker and saying no, did I support Israel? And I'm like, well, no, I don't think I say, well, put it like this. I don't think we should be giving foreign money to any country.
Thank you.
I'm sponsoring a bill that's going to stop all foreign aid to all foreign countries because we need foreign aid here in America. We are suffering. People are suffering here in America. We have people still in the South in some of these cities. They still don't have running water. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't have running water. They they don't even have the luxuries that Israel have. And when you go to Israel, it's this beautiful city, until they got bombed a little bit by Iran, but it's still a beautiful city. But and they get all these all these congressmen and all these
Mm-hmm.
officials, man, they go over there and they got to hump the wall with the little hat on,
Yep.
and everything. I mean, and it's just unbelievable, man. And I mean, and to hear a senator say what Ted Cruz said, I'm like, man, we are definitely occupied in this country,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only a couple of people high enough standing up saying it. You got Tucker Carlson. Other than us, they're bigger than us, but you got Tucker Carlson. You got Thomas Massey. MTG is saying it now. You got
Yep.
Candace Owens and a couple of other people. Ian Kerr, you got other people. But now we're going to be suppressed again because why? Because I never used TikTok, I never did, but now Israel owns they control TikTok now. That was
Yep. They
thing
control
when we
Google,
get the
Instagram.
Chinese, the CCP, control TikTok, and we turn it over to Israel. And Benjamin Netanyahu came out and said it.
Yep.
Now we're going after X. Now we have to talk to Elon. We're going to control everything with our influencers, and they pay their influencers like
Mm-hmm.
$7,000 each. That's out there. I'm like, how can you be and I know, you know, and this is why my show is never scripted. I never know what we're going to talk about. We briefly said what we're going to talk about, and we're going to get to that. But I mean, this is important for people to understand and realize, man, that we are totally controlled in this country. Palantir is coming for us with the AI. Now you got if Elon Musk is compromised somehow, we can forget about it on X too, because TikTok is already the rhythm has already changed on TikTok to where they take down posts if you mention anything negative about Israel. X is next. Hopefully, Elon doesn't sell out, but I'm sure he will because he's a little playboy. So I'm sure he's probably honeypotted or something, you know. But
It's
I'm gonna
frightening.
play a little bit of this clip real quick. Go ahead. Go ahead while I cue this clip up. Go ahead.
No, I find it frightening when you look at all the social media platforms. Jews own them. That's impossible. It's statistically impossible. My wife is from Hollywood. She was in the Hollywood as an actress. It's incestuous, and
Mm-hmm.
they feed off a host, and the host is the Gentiles. And people may really recoil from that and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe he's saying it." I'm just telling you what I experienced
Yeah.
on my level. And I'm
Nope.
looking at
Right.
every lie told to me throughout my life in religious aspect. It's all a lie. I'm supposed to bow at the knee of people that hate me. They think I'm subjected to them because they're the chosen people, and they mock my Savior. How is that my best ally? How are they my best friends? How is that? Look what uh, Candace Owens showed, the USS Liberty. It's not even disputed. They bombed our
Right.
own
Right.
Navy and killed our men, and they hid it from us.
Right.
God,
I had Phil
and now the
Kearney.
Holocaust is a you. We have to question the Holocaust. Think about what you and I are talking about right now. If you and I had this conversation, if you asked me to be on your show 10 years ago, and I said, "Hey, that Holocaust thing, whoa, you really believe that?" You would immediately say, "Oh, we're having technical difficulties. JJ's gone, never to come back." Right now, you and I are saying it out loud, and we're like, "Well, that has some validity to it because it doesn't add up." It doesn't add up. Auschwitz, they built the showers after they were
Mhm.
liberated. Not they weren't there. It's already proven they built the gas chambers after
Okay.
everybody was saved. They quote reconstructed
They
the
reconstructed,
showers.
right, and they took the pictures, all the pictures of the supposed prisoners. It was a lady on, I think it was Joe Rogan's show, matter of fact, where she came out. She was a cousin of someone, but she came out and said, "Oh yeah, those pictures are fake." They had to reconstruct those pictures. They had to actually go back in and reconstruct those pictures, and they're fake because it was, when they supposedly came in and rescued, it was in the middle of the winter, but none of these pictures have snow. None of them have snow. And she said that. She said, yeah, they went back and reconstructed them. And one of the things is, and this is what I found out too, is that after the war, 16 million Germans died after the war. 16 million. from starvation, from just their homes were gone, they were bombed out. 16 million. 1.5 million of them died in concentration camps, POW camps of the United States. 1.5
I did
million.
not know that.
Yeah, I learned it last night.
Well,
Watching it
again,
last night.
whoever wins the war writes the history, and that becomes reality. And we're now finding no, and you're right, AI now is coming out, and people are saying, I want AI transcribe this speech by Hitler using his same cadence, but in English. And when you listen to it, it doesn't sound mantic. You're like,
No, not
oh,
at all.
he believes in German pride. Oh, he wants transgender and the gays out. Hold on a second. And you're sitting there listening to it, and you're like, oh my God, did they lie to me about this too?
Mhm.
So if I come to you and I've told you 10 things and 8 of them are lies, I have to question all the way the last 9 and 10 items and say, you now flip the script. I don't believe they're true. You now have to prove to me that what you're saying is true. I don't believe it at whole. Look, I'm at the point now. I can tell you definitively what I believe on the moon landing, 9/11, the assassinations. I haven't dug into World War II as much as I want,
Man,
but
I'm
everything tells me that it's not true. It's
I
not
am
true.
digging. It's I've started digging like over the past couple of weeks, man, and my eyes have been totally open between. And this is why they had the Olympics in Germany in 1936. You got to understand, it was after the war, right? And the Great Depression that was happening all over the world between 32, India, 29, 30, whatever, right? But between 33 and 39, Germany was, guess what? The most advanced country in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They 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 didn't have any homeless people, and you have to understand how it was decimated after World War One, and Hitler built it all back up to where it was between 36 and 39. And someone said the reason that we went to war with Germany is because the world saw the Olympics in 1936, and the world saw how Germany people were there, and they said, we have to go to war. We have to tear all this down. We have to bomb all of this. We have to destroy all of this, because if the soldiers in Germany saw how they lived, and if the people saw how they lived, then everyone would be behind Hitler. Everyone would want to have a Adolf Hitler. Did you know they had no homeless? They did basically what Gaddafi. Gaddafi was, I'm going to say, a copy of Hitler. And I say, and the reason I say that is because he built up Libya the same way Hitler built up Germany. There were no homeless people in Libya. Every family, when you had a child, you got money. And marks. You got 5,000, 20,000 in Libya. You got so much in Germany. And if you had more than 4 kids, and you got a house, right? Payment towards a house. And in Germany, I learned this: if you had 4 kids, your house was paid for. Your house was paid for. Everyone had a house. Everyone was able to live. I mean, it from what I'm learning is simply fascinating. And I really didn't get to I'm a history guy, but I never really, like I say, got into the World War II. Now I'm starting to get into the World War II, and I'm reading the speeches. I'm, reading General Patton, and how Patton was like, man, I love the German people. These people, we are at war with the wrong. We went to war and we supported the wrong people. We should. And Patton, right after World War II ended, he wanted to go continue into Russia. He said, we have to, while they're decimated, they have mules, they don't even have weaponry. We can go all the way to Moscow. We can take over Russia, because these are the people we need to destroy. Russia. We have to get rid of the Bolsheviks. We have to get rid of, these atheists in Russia. We have to get rid of Stalin. We have to get rid of all them.
No,
But
instead we went and
instead we
killed
didn't.
Christians.
General Eisenhower said, no, 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 I want to do that. Right? It was amazing. And I also learned that Eisenhower never saw battle.
Really?
Eisenhower never saw the battlefield. Eisenhower was a selected general. He rose up through the ranks really, really quick. He never saw battle, never saw the battlefield. I'm like, man, I'm like, man, this is some bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been lied to, man, the whole time. And here's one of the things that it's been able to manifest. The lie has been able to manifest. Christian Zionism.
Oh yeah.
Christian
Okay.
Zionism. They somehow got Christians
Mhm.
to believe that
Yep.
Zionists and Zionism, and like you say, we have to support Israel. It came and they did it through the churches the same way. I did a special called Communists and Negroes. They did the same thing with black people in their
Yep.
churches. They infiltrated their churches and their preachers and the pastors, and they got everybody to believe that, right? So
Mhm.
that's why they have a lot of Christian Zionists. Ted Cruz is a Christian Zionist. You have most of these politicians are Christian Zionists with dual citizenship. A lot of them with dual citizenship with Israel. And that should never take place in a country or in the United States, especially where our leadership has dual citizenship. But Christian Zionism is the thing that keep it going. And I think people are waking up, like you and I. I mean, we're talking about it, like you say, we're talking about it. We're not afraid to, call a spade, and I totally believe we can't continue to send billions of dollars to Israel. We just
Well,
can't.
okay. Think about what you're saying about Israel. For your audience to understand that every Jew in Israel has free healthcare, and every Jew in Israel goes to college for free. Are your kids going to college for free? I'm paying about
Uh,
$1,000 a month for my healthcare. $1,000 a month with massive premiums, and I have quote one of the best plans because I'm a federal employee. And yet we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel over the last several decades for their people to be fully medicated,
right.
fully educated, and our own people are starving, can't make ends meet. And yet the APAC and the Jewish lobby and the dual citizenship with amongst the people that are in positions of power with Israel just steal from us, steal everything from us to give to Israel. And every time I hear someone say, well, I'm here for it's Israel's tied to the hip of America and they're our greatest ally, I click them off. They're completely moronic and they're gone, and I don't trust their judgment because I've
Absolutely.
come to the realization there is no way that I'm going to listen to evangelical Christian pastors. I barely listen to my priest. I won't listen to my pope. Pope Theo is a Leo is a complete Marxist thug from Chicago that believes in climate
Right.
change and illegal immigration. He's gone. He's done. Where is the truth? Where in God's name is the real truth? And I think that's the most frightening thing is no one knows what's true anymore. And that's the greatest accomplishment of the atheist, demonic, I don't want to say atheist, the demonic left. Because if you don't think that Satan is roaming our earth right now, and this is a
Oh man,
spiritual war, then you are
it's
a moron. You are you are
very
you
spiritual.
are so secular and so narcissistic to think that there's not a war versus God versus Satan. Satan's roaming the earth. Look what Satan has been able to accomplish. He's been able to accomplish you women clapping like stupid seals for the ability to murder your children.
Your
We are
children,
we are
right?
applauding of moms and dads transitioning their 7-year-old kids, allowing transgender men to fondle them and do strip dances in front of them, and mutilate their bodies. You don't think Satan is winning? Are you kidding me, man? Look around. We live in
Wow.
hell right now.
Yeah. Just look, I had that argument with someone. I said, Satan is the ruler of this world. No,
Yes.
it's God. God allows him to do it. I'm like, Satan. You have to understand. Satan was cast out of heaven. Where'd he go? He went here. He's the ruler of this world. And that's why you have to make a choice to be of this world or not of this world.
Mhm.
It's just so hilarious how people, they don't understand that. And I'm glad that you brought that up. But a lot of people truly don't understand that we're in hell. This is hell, right? And we have to survive, and we have to survive. And but I'm going to switch gears real quick because I know you got to go. But
Holy cow,
we
that's
talked
fast.
earlier
That's a
about,
fast almost hour there, dude.
hey man, hey, it goes good and it goes fast when you have some energy, and and talking about things that we are both obviously passionate about, and but this illegal alien problem that we have in the United States. Talk about that.
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to talk about this because this is something no one talks about. And I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. And this is data that is from the federal government. There's no disputing it. It's like everyone agrees to it with shame. Over 50 million people in America are illegal aliens, illegal. At the same time, those 50 million people are living in America illegally. We have allowed in 55 million visa holders, legal visa holders. We now have 105 million foreign nationals living in America. Why do you think your rent's so high? Why do you think there's a 5 million house shortage in the housing market? Why do you think there's no jobs? Why do you think the wages are depressed? Why do you think inflation's skyrocketing? Why? Well, because we're unbalanced. We have 1/3 of our population are foreign nationals, and everyone's shocking. But I really want your audience to understand this. A massive, significant percentage of illegal aliens outside of the 30 million that came in under Joe Biden, that's an anomaly on its own. The vast majority of illegal aliens are visa overstays, okay? People that come to America and just don't leave. And they don't leave because there's nobody to check it. They may have some computer system, but who's monitoring the computer system? So Jose doesn't return back to Mexico or Ecuador or Mohammed back to Sudan. Well, who's going to find Mohammed and deport his ass back to Sudan? Nobody. There's no one to do it. So I want you to understand, every single day through a FOIA request, President Trump is arresting and deporting about 750 people a day. 750 people a day. That's nothing, guys. That's nobody. If I take 1% of the visa holders and make them overstays, and I am being so conservative because I believe you can go all the way up to 5 to 10%, maybe even higher. Let's say 1%. 1%, and let's say Donald Trump and ICE arrest and deport 1,000 people a day. Donald Trump and his ICE deports 365,000 people this year. We allowed 550,000, 1% of 55 million, 550,000 illegal aliens, overstays. We have a house that has a basement, a first story, and a second story. The entire basement and the entire first floor is underwater. And I'm sitting there trying to empty out this flood with a red Solo cup. At the same time, there's a dude with a fire hose shooting water into my house. This is the exact same thing that's happening right now. We are not deporting enough people. We don't have an entry-exit program. USCIS doesn't even have law enforcement authority within that agency, and they have the responsibility of the visa holders. Do you see how absurd this is? Wow. People need to understand 50 million illegal aliens in our country right now, with hundreds of thousands to probably millions every year coming in on visas and overstaying. And do you know how many? I don't know, you and I talked about this before, but I'd like to ask you this question. Do you know how many ICE officers we have in DHS that are responsible and tasked to get all the illegal aliens out of our country? Do you know how many there are? Would you guess?
I'll throw a guess out there. My guess would be about 500.
No. There's 6,000 of us, of those agents.
6,000.
So 6,000 officers would have to work 24 hours a day, no days off for the
Wow.
whole career, and they have to go find 50 million people. Not going to happen,
Okay.
people.
Not gonna happen.
And then what?
Not gonna happen.
Why am I so passionate about this foreign act? For many, many reasons. But when those foreign nationals have babies here, and they're having babies at a 5-to-1 ratio,
Number one.
5-to-1. Some of the Muslims are at 10-to-1. We're over. It's done. It's done.
Right.
You
And
lose
this is how we
America.
get the Ilhan Omars. This is how we get the Ilhan Omars
Yes.
in Congress and in these positions. The Zamdanis or whatever that dude's name, they're
Yeah.
probably going to be mayor in New York City. We're overrun. We are overrun.
Well, can I give you a demographic a number just to prove my point? This is not about race. This is about just demographics. Because out of the whole globe, over 185 nationalities came into America. There are less than 200 nations on planet Earth, so everybody's here. In the 1960s, the late 60s into the 70s, the white population was about 87 to 89%. Black population was about 13, and 13% is about stayed the same. White population has decreased. We're now below 60%. In 2045, we'll be at 45%. We'll be the minority in our own country. Blacks have stayed at 13%, and Hispanics, because of the artificial demographic inflation of that population, has superseded the black population.
Right.
And black Americans do not know this is happening. And the Black Caucus has voted for this, has voted for the demise of our demographics. Why is it okay for America to change its demographics artificially? It's not. If you and I had this discussion, hey, whites went from 87% down to 84%, blacks bumped up 2%, Hispanics went down, nobody cares because we're Americans and there's an ebb and flow to who's in our country. But when you import 50 million people and you completely destroy our demographics, and it comes with cultural, social, economic, criminal, educational, religious, every part of our society has been deteriorated. Why? Look what happened in Japan just right now. Just hired their first female prime minister because they got rid of the other one. And she came out and said, no, borders are closed and everyone here get the hell out. We're about Japan and Japanese. What a novel approach. How about we're for America? Wouldn't that be interesting? But they can't get wealthy on that. They can't. They get wealthy off of us. Look, man, since COVID-19, which was that's another thing. I mean, what a lie that is. The wealthy became wealthy beyond our comprehension. The middle class died because they physically killed us. And now we're struggling. If you would have told me before I retired from the United States Border Patrol that I would make this much money in retirement, I would think that I would be in the upper echelon economically. I have less disposable income than when I worked, and I'm making more money now than when I worked, but I have less disposable income. That's impossible, except that you devoured our dollar so much in the last decade that you've destroyed all my retirement, destroyed it. And I'm supposed to sit here and be a happy camper when you destroyed my demographics. You brought in people that hate us. They're raping and killing my women and children and killing us. And now you devalue my dollar to now I got to hustle and get another job or work or do something. Why? Because you freaking gutless bastards sold our country. And no one's been arrested. No one has been arrested. It's been 10 months. Comey's not in handcuffs. Until I see him in handcuffs, I won't believe he's being arrested. Where are all the arrests? We have been lied to ad nauseum, and I'm telling you that we are hurtling to death and destruction in America, and that's not blackpilling. That's just the freaking truth, man.
Those are facts, man. I mean, you mentioned that, and I try to talk to my people, about this too. I tell people, do you guys realize that we're like third in population here in the United States now? And we've done it to ourselves through killing our own babies in the womb, right? Not having children, the destruction of the nuclear family, black family, while they continue to bring in these illegals, and where are they dumping them? They are dumping them in black neighborhoods. They're
Yep.
dumping them in our communities to where now we have to fight for the resources. We have to fight for the jobs. We have to fight for everything in our own communities. And now we're becoming minorities in our own communities. That's one of the big things that's going on in Southside Chicago right now. You know,
Absolutely.
ICE is going through their raiding, and these bourgeoisie and these tethers, what we call these people, that black people that not even from America, don't even have, roots here in America, and they're on the CNN and the MSNBC saying, "Oh, the ICE is going after black people." No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. We were born here. This is our country. Yes. Are they going into black neighborhoods? Are they going into apartment buildings where black people live? Yes. Why? Because that's where the freaking illegals are. That's where these Venezuelan gangs are. That's where these people, that's where they put them at. They dump them into our neighborhoods. So of course they're gonna have to come into black neighborhoods, but they're not coming after us. I tell people all the time, what are you scared about? Are you doing anything illegal? One, two, you were born here. You're an American. They're not coming after you. They're coming after the illegals, and like I said, and not enough, not fast enough. I mean, I wish, I'm thinking about, putting in an application to join ICE, to join
I'm
ICE.
going back.
I mean, because like you say, on my retirement, yeah, I had great retirement, and, was living fine, until the Biden administration took over and decimated the dollar even more. Like you say, the rent price has gone up. Luckily, I locked in my mortgage rate at 2%, 2.3%, but a lot of people aren't like that. But it's still, dude, there's 3 people live in my house, and I spent $400 and something on fucking groceries last week.
Absolutely.
Never done that.
But ask the question: how are people in the lower economics? How are they doing it? Like, how are they doing it? And you talk about what they've done to the black community. When I filmed my documentary, What is Treason? I went down to South Side of Chicago and went down there. I had to be brought in by the gangs because I'm a white guy. I look like a cop. So I had to be brought in and protected. And I interviewed 20, 30 people. They were like, we've lost our community. They've replaced us with Venezuelans because the Venezuelans were getting $9,000 a month for rent. Right. $9,000. I don't have a $9,000 mortgage. Dear God. But man, you were talking about yeah. But here's another thing. I mean, when you look at the black community and you look at the black plight, if you will, in today, everyone in America thinks that it's always been this way. It's not. This is an anomaly in the black society. Fatherlessness, baby mamas, poverty, illegitimacy, complete educational destruction. That's not how it used to be. And I'm not for segregation, but let's do apples to apples. There were many, many black schools that beat white testing. You didn't have multiple baby mamas. You had intact families. You didn't have drugs and alcohol problem. You didn't. Black Americans were one of the largest and fastest growing entrepreneurs and business people in our country. Now they're destitute. Now they're on welfare. They have illegitimate children. They're killing their babies. They're drug addicts. Dear God, man, look at what has happened to our nation. This is unbelievable what our government has done to us. And I believe the world, the United States American citizens are awakening. And I just don't know if they're going to be awake enough. Like, I don't know if they're finally going to come out of their slumber and they're going to get punched right in the face from like Mike Tyson 2 or 3 times. And they're going to be scared and they're going to go back into their corner and just say, let me just go back to let me take that blue pill, like in the Matrix. And dude, you want to say that we live in a matrix. We live in a matrix where we work our ass off for the parasites and we're the host. And we're looking at a world that looks okay, but it's not okay. It's chaotic. And everybody watching this, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, young, old, man or a woman, Republican, Democrat, we all feel uneasy. Like something is wrong. And the reason you feel that is because there is something very, very
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. And, absolutely. I did my 3-part series called Communists and Negroes. And I talk about that. I even had Ann Craft-Tatus on the show. We talked about the education system. We talked about how the communists used the black people to
Mhm.
bring in the communist agenda here. And I said, and we were better off. I said, black people were better off in the 60s, in the
Uh-huh.
50s, in the 40s, in the 30s here in the United States. We didn't have illiteracy.
Mhm.
Because it was a big thing. We had to, because of slavery and whatever, we had to learn reading and writing. Education was always number one priority in the black community. That's why we had a lot of scholars. We had a lot of black kids go to college. We had it was 87% literacy rate, 87, almost 90% literacy rate in the black community before desegregation. And I
Yep.
said the biggest thing that has hurt black people in this country is desegregation. And
And the
people look
white
at me like
liberal.
I'm fucking crazy.
Yep.
I'm like, you go back and look at the statistics. You go back and look at some of these black neighborhoods, and in the '60s, in the '50s. You go back and look at what black people were doing and the literacy rate, and now you look at it now, and it's below 30%, 20%. We don't have strong black nuclear families anymore. Like
You
you
don't
said, we
have,
have
and you used to
baby
have black
mamas
businesses.
and
You used to have
drugs,
black
and
businesses
we have
all
no
over the
black
place.
businesses. Yeah, yeah. We had many. People talk about the Tulsa, Oklahoma, bombing of Black Wall Street. There were many Black Wall Streets in the United States. There were more than 10 in Virginia alone. Up in the Richmond, Virginia area, we had many Black Wall Streets. We had our own businesses. We had our own schools. We had everything that we
Yep.
needed. And also in Montgomery, Alabama, we had our own black bus company too. That's you know, where we didn't have to boycott shit, right? All we had to do was use our own bus companies. We didn't have to boycott to try to get on a white bus. That was part of the communist agenda, because people like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks went
Hmm.
and got taught at the Highland School by a communist. Man, I,
Hmm.
I I lay it out in my 3-part series, man. And when I, did that, that was another thing. When I studied and I did that series, I found out, man, black people have been used by communists. What's going on in the black community is communist. What's going on with the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party is the Communist Party of the United
Hmm.
States. We are fighting
And how did they
communism here in
use?
the United
How did they
States
get to
and
the what?
Bolshevik,
Yep.
Bolshevism.
Well, it's how and how did they get to the black community through the church?
Through the church,
Through the
through the
church.
churches.
Hmm.
Through the churches, man. Yeah, I had a guest on that was undercover with the Communist Party USA, CPUSA. They were undercover, and I had I played some things on the show, read the book too, and that's how they did it. They infiltrated over 400 black
Hmm.
churches and
Yep.
brought in the communism, man, and the Trotskyism. It was Trotsky and Lenin and these and Levison. There was a communist that actually wrote Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches. He didn't even write his speeches. The communist did, called Levison.
And you want? I mean, you want to hear? You want to
It's
talk about? Look,
it's
look, we're
unreal.
talking about things that we're uncovering and talked about 10 years ago. You and I could never talk about Martin Luther King this way. Martin Luther
Yeah.
King, they
Oh,
made him to be a hero, and he's a tragedy. He's a
yes, indeed.
tragedy. And when you really listen to people that have done some research on him, whoa, holy mother of God, man. Are you kidding me? Of
Yeah.
course he was a mouthpiece. Look at, you know who comes out looking like a guy that was right on the money about everything? And I'm just ordering a book this week to read on him. Malcolm X.
Malcolm X was he was the and that's why they killed him. Now
Yep.
they tried to say Malcolm X was this black extremist and stuff. Well, they gave him that title because he was not. They tried
Yep.
to wrap him up in with the Black Panthers and the black extremism, but Malcolm was actually speaking the truth. He was the one that
Yep.
said the greatest enemy to the black American is the white liberal. He said that.
Yep. Yep.
Malcolm said that. Malcolm was telling the truth. And here's another and here's another one. I go back and I listen to him and I listen to speeches. They do the same thing to this man too. And he tells a lot of truth, and that's Minister Farrakhan.
Yes, he does. They make him out to be crazy. He says some crazy
They make him
stuff.
out to be a Jew hater and
Yeah.
crazy, but that's the same thing they did to Malcolm. What I see them doing to Minister Farrakhan, right, is the same thing they did to Malcolm. It's the same thing that they did to anybody who talked about the Jews being
But
part of the problem.
look who you
Or
mentioned today, Candace
who you
Owens.
mentioned today. Yeah,
Candace Owens.
yeah,
She's
Candace Owens.
crazy. She's crazy. And you're like, wait a minute, no, that's not. She's reporting on. She's showing a video, and I'm looking at the same damn video, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Oh, but you're crazy. You're a crazy black lady that's married to a crazy white man, and Bob. And I'm like, okay, hold on. She's not crazy. That's what they do. Whenever someone yells and says they're crazy, you should stop and go, I maybe need to listen to them, because that's the if someone's not white and you can't call them racist, they call them crazy or they're violent extremists.
Right.
That's a playbook. And why should they deviate from that playbook if that playbook works all the time? It works all the time. Look at what we've talked about in an hour. It would take almost a lifetime to dig into one of those topics, man. That's how much depth of lies. Think about what you and I have been talking about. We're talking about basically the major events in our entire life is a lie. All of it's a lie. Everything. America's greatness depended on us going to the moon. That separated us from the other countries and made us superior. Think of that.
Yeah.
My God, man. How look at how powerful propaganda is. It's powerful. It's powerful. And we have a government. Now, this is my belief, and I'll end with this. My belief is that our government is so corrupted. The levels of corruption are so deep, there is no rehabilitating the government. I believe Thomas Jefferson was correct that we have a moral obligation to tear it down to its studs and then rebuild it in the way that we need it to be, because I think it's too far gone. And a whole other issue that we could talk about later is we talking about the Jews, and that we have to talk about the Muslims that are taking over our country and reproducing at a 10-to-1 ratio. This is just a bad math problem, man. That's all it is. And there's a demographic time bomb placed by the Democrats and the Republicans in the middle of America, and it's exploding. And no matter what you may say, our demographics are changing in real time. And they are going to be, within a generation or two, we will have more foreign-born people in America than we do have U.S. citizens. And it's over. It's over. You have Little Mogadishu in Minnesota. You have Dearborn, Michigan. All their police force are Arabic and Muslim. They have called a prayer 5 times a day, 6 times a day.
Right.
It's over. It's over.
And in Houston, Texas is a big one too. And in Texas, of all places, in Texas
is an embarrassment.
It's a bad math problem. And I mean, how do you fix it, man? How do we? We need more people, to, like, say, deport.
Right.
Somehow we have to get the people out. I mean, that's the only way. And and it sounds crazy, oh, you're a bigot. No, I'm an American only guy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an American. This is my country. This is my country. I served nearly 3 decades. I'm gonna let you go. For this country, man. I didn't serve it to be taken over and be occupied by foreigners. If I wanted to go to a foreign country, I moved to the Philippines and probably be living like a king right now. On the on the ocean. If I wanted to do that, right? But this is my country, and I'm going to continue to fight and continue to speak on it, no matter what people may say, what people may think about me. But it's one thing that people can never prove me wrong, that anything I say has been wrong.
No, I want to be wrong. I wrote a Substack article today, and I said, please prove me wrong, because I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about everything, but I'm not. because it's not because I'm some great intellect. I'm just a dude that's looking at data and statistics, and I'm looking at what's going on as a former investigator, and I'm going, this is the only outcome. This is it. There is no other outcome. We're hurtling down an interstate, a road, a dark road at 150 miles an hour with no brakes, and we're passing almost our last on ramp. And even if we get off on that off ramp, we don't have the brakes to stop. We're going to slam into something. It's going to be painful no matter what.
It's going to be painful. Absolutely. Hey man, thanks for coming on. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about your new employment that you may be getting into.
My new employment, yes.
If you want.
Well, I'll tell you real quick. I got a temporary or what they call it, like a temporary hiring proposal. I'm waiting on my entry on duty date. My EOD. I can't believe I'm going to have a new EOD date there, man. To join ICE. I'm going to be an ICE special agent hopefully soon. I'm just waiting for them to call me and say show up, and I will be in the fight here in Middle America, and I'll probably be sent to Chicago. So you will see me, and I will be the only ICE guy with no mask. I will not wear a mask. I want evil to see my face, and when they see me coming, I want them to recognize me as, oh dear God, it's that guy, and that's why I will not wear a mask.
Man, well, congratulations, man, and definitely God bless you and keep you safe and much love and respect, man. So this might be the last time we see JJ for a while.
No, come on. I won't talk about ICE. I'll talk about everything else. But I'll tell you, I know I'm going to have a voice. I'm going to have a platform. I would love to come back whenever. But my gosh,
man. Anytime, brother.
What's the world going to look like in 3 months, 2 months? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would have told you when you signed off from me last time, hey, Charlie Kirk's going to be murdered, suicide, they're going to kill him live, I'd think you're insane. There's no way. So God bless our country, but I think we're in dark times. But dude, thank you. That was a fast hour and 15 minutes. Thanks very much, man.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Later. JJ Carrell, y'all. JJ Carrell. So he's going to be an ICE agent. My man is going to go be an ICE agent. Love it, man. I think that's cool. And like I said, man, that was a quick hour. And, missing some people today over on Baseballs. Thank you for tuning in. I see you finally. Missing my boy TBB over there. It looked like I know he has some surgery. He has some things to get done. So we're gonna say a prayer and for TBB over there on Getter. He's having some open heart surgery next week. So we're praying for you, brother. So hang in there. And I know you'll be out for a while, but we love you anyway. I need some music, man. Let's see. You guys got to give me a thumbs up if you hear this, man, because I really want to hear some music. So, all right, you guys let me know, man.
Darkness,
Because
I've come to talk with you again.
I know I hear it in my ear, but I'm trying to get this music thing down. To be able to play through this system, it's been kind of crazy. So just give me a thumbs up, yes or no. Carolyn, I know you're out there. Let's see. Let me check out the chat. And I know it's a little delayed too, but
still remain.
Hey man, we're losing our country though. We need
restless dreams I walked alone.
I don't know what we're gonna do to get it back though. We definitely have to fight to get it back. And hey, we may have to be out there like JJ. And going to fight for the country, but we are in a fight for this country. I'm going to play some clips here in a minute. Is what I'm going to do. Let's But we see what's going on in Chicago. We see what's going on. I mean, and you know, when I talk about the Bolsheviks, now when we talk about the Bolsheviks, we are in a fight with the Bolsheviks, definitely here, and communists. It's a communist fight. This is a communist takeover of the United States. Yeah, figures crackling because I think I'm talking loud. It might just be this system is worn out. That's why I need a new system. That's what it is. So I think I'm going to need a new system. That's what it is. I need a new sound system or something. But yeah, we're in a fight for this country. You know, and we're totally overrun. You know, we're controlled by foreign nation. Like JJ said, we have a third of our population are foreign nationals. Foreign nationals, a third of our population. Foreign nationals. And I don't know how we're going to change it. I honestly don't know how we're going to change it. But this is what I was talking about with Ted Cruz. I'm going to check out some of the clips I got. But you know, we talked about Ted Cruz and talked about, you know, Tucker and people trying to save America, right? And Tucker is one of those. You know, but we have these politicians like Ted Cruz, and I'm pretty sure everybody heard this, but I'm going to play it anyway.
A lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. Great. And I've worked every day to do
that's the reason he came to Congress, to be the leading defender of Israel. This is courtesy of TYT, the Young Turks show. But that's what Ted Cruz, this is what Ted Cruz, a U.S. Senator, that he wants to be, his number one thing was to be the main defender of Israel, not to be the defender of the United States Constitution, the oath that he took, but he wants to be the number one defender of Israel. I'm going to play.
a lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. Great. And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC, I wish were much more effective.
My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay. When was the last time AIPAC took a position that deviated from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AIPAC,
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets.
No. I
want to get to the core question. AIPAC is lobbying for a foreign government, and I don't. It's not. It's lobbying for the United States.
It is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Guys, I have never seen anyone in media, okay, whether we're talking about left-wing media, right-wing media, I haven't seen a single journalist in this country ask an aggressive line of questioning like that about AIPAC and its influence on US foreign policy, especially in the Middle East, obviously. That was amazing. I mean, look, I hate to be in a position where I'm praising a man who I have far more disagreements with than agreements with, but I don't care. I don't care. This interview was incredible. First of all, how illuminating is it that we literally have a sitting United States senator who openly says that he came into the Senate promising to be the number one representative and defender of Israel, of a foreign country, of a foreign country. If that doesn't infuriate you, there's something wrong with you. He was supposed to represent this country, the constituents who voted him in the great state of Texas, right? And he feels like it's totally okay to openly say, I came into the Senate, committed to be the number one representative, supporter, whatever. I can't remember the exact word he used, but basically to represent Israel's interests. Oh, so look, given that he feels comfortable saying that openly, which I'm not interested in having anyone in Congress who prioritizes any foreign country over our own. I'm Armenian American, right? If someone came into Congress and said, you know what, I came into Senate wanting to be the number one representative of Armenia, I'd be like, but why? But why? No, I don't. We have problems here. And I think I finally figured out what's making Tucker tick, like what the big change with him has been. I think he's looking at the conditions we're all living in this country, the drug overdoses, the extreme poverty, the homelessness. And he's asking himself, why are we so focused on foreign conflicts or what's happening outside of the United States? Okay, so there's more, because you can tell Ted Cruz is getting a little bit uncomfortable. He's getting increasingly defensive, but then he finally just can't hold back anymore. And he says the quiet part out loud. Let's watch.
How much contact do you think AIPAC leaders have for the government of Israel?
No idea. I imagine some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AIPAC because AIPAC's not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AIPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure.
My question is not, is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay, including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah,
and
why
aren't they registered as a foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
They're not a foreign lobby.
No, they're not.
I'm only trying to get to the question of what AIPAC is, and I don't think you're being straightforward about it. AIPAC is lobbying on behalf of the interests of a foreign country, and they're not registered. And you're saying, no, that's not true. You're saying that they don't coordinate with the Israeli government.
Of course, I coordinate. Do they talk with them? I don't know what they do. But
why don't you care? Isn't it meaningful if a foreign government?
Hey, I talk with Israel all the time. I talk with foreign countries all the time.
But the law is, and a lot of people have been prosecuted under this law, that if you are lobbying on behalf of foreign government, you must register. That's it.
There you go. And there's many Ted Cruzes in our Congress. There's many. Pull this camera down a little bit. There's many Ted Cruzes. And Carolyn, I'm looking in the chat. Carolyn in Virginia, she says, and what happens when both candidates of your governor's race are beholden to Israel and have taken trips to Israel and went and humped the wall? Whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, the Democrat and the Republican candidate for Virginia's governorship has taken trips and been part of the Israel Wall group. What do you do then? I mean, we're occupied. Stu Peters. You guys don't know who Stu Peters is? He's been one of the forefront, I guess, guys talking about Israel too. He's been out front on that. And he did a documentary called Occupied. I think it's one of the best documentaries I've seen to understand, to seem to make it more understandable how occupied we really are here in the United States by Israel, a foreign nation. And in the meantime, we're allowing, and I think this is by design too. And I think that the Bolsheviks have something to do with this too, because it's been the Bolsheviks, it's been the people in our government that has allowed the refugees to come into the United States to settle in areas where they can control areas like Lil Mogadishu and get representatives like Ilhan Omar and Dearborn, Michigan, to where they, take over. I mean, JJ even said it. Most of their police forces is Muslims now, and they do breed on a 10-to-1 ratio, basically. And so they are becoming the majority. But this is part of the plan with the communists and the Bolsheviks. And it's both Democrat and Republican. It's not just a Democrat thing, and I tell people, and you guys who have listened to me, you hear me say it all the time, right? It's more than a left or right thing. It's not just the Democrats; it's the Republicans as well. You got the Democrats with the Muslims. You got the Republicans with Israel. Democrats with Israel. I mean, you got supposed Republicans with Muslim. I mean, it's just amazing, man. Like baseball says, we will take America over without firing a shot using her own laws, using America's laws against her, against us. So this is what's happening. And I have to be honest. I'm transparent. I have to be honest. I have been looking at other countries to have a residence in other than the United States, and that's hard to say, but I'm looking because the United States is it's going to get worse before it get better. The middle class has been decimated here. We have an AG candidate. Thank you, Lisa, for bringing this up. That's one of the topics I was going to bring. We have the AG, the Attorney General, right? The head legal guy, the head lawyer candidate in the race in Virginia. Virginia is screwed. Virginia had some winners, man. You guys have some winners. But the AG candidate wanted to kill his opponent and his wife and kids. I mean, some text messages came out. I got the stuff somewhere, but it's come out that they have text messages with this guy saying that he wanted to kill his opponent as well as his wife and kids. Can you believe that? This is from the AG. I don't even believe why this guy is still on the ballot. And this is new. I mean, this happened within the last week or so. And this guy, and no one has made him drop out of the race yet. He hasn't dropped out of the race. Even the Democrat Party should have enough self-respect to make this guy drop out of the race. But it's too late because the elections are a month away. It's too late. They want to win that seat so bad that they would keep this guy. This guy, he should lose his law license. He should be disqualified. The governor of the state, Youngkin, right? Youngkin, he's still the governor of the state of Virginia. They should hold a special session or something. That guy has to be disqualified. He cannot be on the ballot. But I don't believe that the Republicans will do anything about it. I don't believe that the Republicans, will stand up. The Republican Party in Virginia is weak. I live there. That's one reason I left. I saw the writing on the wall during my last campaign. I'm like, Virginia's lost, man. When the Republican Party can spend and the Democrat Party, the Uniparty can spend $7 million against me in a primary to make sure they get the lady that says she's okay with transgenderism, and the opponent won. She voted for the transgender bill, for the boys to be in the girls' bathroom. She voted for that. But so this is what they want. This is what they want. This is Bolshevism. And I keep saying it because the more and more I go back and I study, like I say, World War II was a fascinating time. I recommend all of you, and you're going to find some astonishing things. You're going to find some shocking things. You're going to find some things that you're like, man, they lied to us. Just all the things that me and JJ were talking about. But it gets deeper than that. You know how they murdered, we think General Patton was murdered. He survived the car crash and then he died in the hospital as he was getting well, you know? And, you know, you find out what these people really, really thought and not what we've been told. Like I say, fascinating, the most fascinating thing that I've heard are Hitler's speeches. I listened to 10 of them last night. Are Hitler's speeches in English. And I'm thinking, and of course you guys don't, I don't care what you think about it, but if I was a German back then and I had the lifestyle of the German, you really have to go and look at the lifestyles that the Germans were living between 1933 and 1939 before the war started. Especially 1936, they held the Olympics, right? I mentioned that. If you go back and look at the lifestyle that the entire population had, no homelessness, everybody had jobs, everybody had housing, right? Life was good for the German people. And you wonder, and you listen to those speeches as Hitler tells them that we're going to have to fight for our country because the United States and Russia, the Bolsheviks from Russia who wants to bring in all of this detriment to Germany, you wonder why those people followed Hitler, right? You know, how did all those people follow Hitler? You go back in time, put yourself there in that lifestyle, and this man was talking about German pride. He was talking about maintaining their way of life, protecting each other, protecting their country, fighting for their country. And I'm like, if I lived in Germany and was German at that time, I would have been 100% behind Hitler. 100%. It had nothing to do with murdering Jews. Yeah, they wanted the Jews out of Germany, and they even talked. He even had a speech about Palestine, how they were murdering citizens of Palestine. He was talking about that in 1936, 1930. Well, that speech was 1932, 33, I believe. He was talking about how they were murdering Palestine and how they were trying to take over Palestine and give it to the Jews. He had a speech about that. The same thing that's going on now, Hitler spoke about. And how he wanted he actually was for the Palestinians. He wasn't for, you know, the Brits that were selling and taking over Palestine. You know, and you know, people text me about the show all the time, right? I think somebody's watching the show. But it said, don't forget about Cynthia Dunbar. This is in Virginia, who ran for Congress against Ben Klein, who's in District 1 in Virginia. She went around with Ted Cruz's father, who claimed to be a pastor. He was telling people that he anointed Ted to run for our government. So all these people run together. All these people. I mean, you're selected for most of these positions. You know, some people win races and the people put them there. I believe that. I believe a lot of people are selected. I believe you have to be selected to be president of the United States. I don't believe some guy, some lady could come from the masses of the people, could come from a middle class or a poor, let's say, lower income family, even though they may be the best candidate, even though they may be the best person, even though they resonate with the people more than, let's say, some billionaire. I'm not sure if that person can ever become the president of the United States, even though they may be articulate, they may be smart, they may have the best ideas. I don't think they can ever do it because they are not the selected one. Because the rich are going to watch out for the rich. The billionaires are going to watch out for the billionaires because we are the peasants. They need us to survive. They need the worker bees to survive. Can you imagine? I after listening to Hitler's speeches, I put up a post on Facebook. I still post up there. Can you imagine in America with no usury on the money that we borrow? No income taxes. Can you imagine taking home your entire paycheck and paying for your home with no interest, paying for your car with no interest, paying for your student loan with no interest, not even having a student loan, not even having health care, having to pay for health care? Because like I said, we pay for Israel's health care. They have free health care and they get to go to college for free. We help make that happen with our 3.5 billion or whatever it is donation every year to the country. And they say, oh, well, uh, they have to spend that 3.8 or whatever $5 billion buying equipment and war material from the United States. No, they don't. They take that money and they buy it through Israeli companies. We just fund it. We just give them the money. Yeah, they're supposed to buy some from the United States. I'm sure some of it gets kicked back. And I mean, but can you imagine in America with no central bank, with no Fed, like it should be, like it's supposed to be? Do you understand that that's one of the reasons why they continue to go after Putin and Russia right now? And Russia under Putin is a far better Russia than under Stalin and Lenin. It's not the same. Or Gorbachev, I guess. They don't have a central bank in Russia. They don't have a central bank. As far as to my knowledge, I don't know if they have usury. I don't believe they have usury in Russia. But they don't have a central bank. So Putin is not controlled by anyone. Putin is not controlled by anyone. So this is why I believe that they continue to go after Russia. Russia is a Christian nation too. Carolyn got called. Hey, Jackie over there. I see you. Part of Rumble. But, as a nation, what are we doing here in the United States? Man, I'm going to play some other clips here. And like in these cities like Chicago, right? Where ICE is trying to do their job and remove the illegals, and then they get a stand down order. They get a stand down order from the chief of police. I have the audio. They're surrounded by a group of what I'm going to call domestic terrorists. And the Chicago PD get a stand down order from the chief of police to assist ICE, not to assist ICE. What are we living in, man? We do have a man trying to get rid of these illegal aliens in our country because of what JJ was speaking about. We're outnumbered. We're going to be outnumbered. This is the only way we save America, and it's not nearly enough because they keep letting them in, and we're not getting enough out. I believe the refugee program should be. I believe every person that family, I don't care, that was let in, because I did the show on Ilhan Omar. I believe was last week? No, the week before last. On Ilhan Omar and her family, how she ended up here, and how her family clan was the dictators, the rulers of Somalia, and how they got run out, and this is how she ended up here. So, I mean, this is what's going on in this country. I'm gonna play the clip from Chicago PD.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger male Hispanic on foot wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing. 99.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
Okay, 10-4. And for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
For the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can, Spot. We're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
They were called off. 999 is the dispatch for that area. And they were told to stand down. They were called. They were not sending any patrols to the area. And the patrol lady, I guess police lady that was over there, she couldn't even believe that they said that. She's like, radio check? Like, what the hell did you just say? Radio check? Did you hear that? She said, radio check? Yeah, we're not sending anybody to that area. They got told, the Chicago PD got told to stand down and not to assist ICE. The governor over there should be imprisoned. The governor of Illinois should be arrested and imprisoned for aiding and abetting foreign nationals, illegals. The mayor should be arrested. Until we start taking down these leaders of these sanctuary cities, it's going to continue. The mayor, Brandon Johnson, should be arrested and charged with aiding and abetting foreign nationals, illegal foreign nationals. They're just in the way. They're just in the way. But we are so corrupted by communists and so infiltrated by communists from top to bottom in our federal governments, our state governments, our local governments to where we're losing this battle for this country. We're losing the battle for this country. I like Tucker Carlson's clips, man. I love Tucker Carlson, you know, because I think he's on it. I honestly think he's. I mean, there's a bunch. There's a bunch coming out. But here's two. I'm gonna play this clip for my black people that's listening, right? Because I think the more black people, you can hear it from me. I mean, the more black people that are waking up, the more black people that are saying these things, maybe more of us will wake up and understand that the illegal alien problem is most detrimental to the black neighborhoods, black communities.
See, I'm pissed off because a lot of people out there are acting like they don't understand what is actually happening in the city of Chicago in regards to the ICE raids. Let me tell you something. Black people, again, are collateral damage in this. And all the black people that are getting mad at ICE and Donald Trump, hold on, you got to get mad at the politicians right here locally, because it was the politicians right here in your city that decided to dump the migrant issue on the black community like they do every single time. When they came across the border and checked asylum, they were able to come over into our city and get incentives like medical care, 6 months free rent, free transportation, free child care. We fed them each and every day. And those people that they were giving assistance to, they didn't go up to the north side and to the white community. All of the people out there protesting that are white, they didn't open up their doors for them, and they didn't want none of the shelters on their neighborhood. Guess where they opened up the shelters? In the black community. Those same school buildings that they shut down in 2013 that were educating black kids, they took those school buildings and they made them migrant shelters. And then they gave over $700 million to a company out in Florida to manage those shelters. They took the buildings that you've been asking for to be developed and build new housing, and they made them into migrant homes, giving them 6 months of free rent. They dumped the problem on black community like they do every single time. When it was George Floyd riots, they closed downtown and pushed people to loot into the neighborhoods because they knew that people didn't care. Where was all the people right now? They weren't in our neighborhoods helping us open up back up our businesses. They were not in our neighborhoods helping us clean up. They weren't in our neighborhoods when we were fighting for Laquan McDonald, who was shot 16 times by Jason Van Dyke. I didn't see them at the protest. But now, right now, they want to make black people a part of the fight. When they made us collateral damage in the first place, we are always losing. That's why ICE is raiding buildings where black people are, is because they put them there. They pay for their rent. They pay for their food. They pay for their child care. They pay for everything, but they didn't put them where they live. They put them where black people live because they don't want to invest into the community. So that's the easiest place to dump a problem. So yes, we can say ICE is being aggressive. Yes, we know that our armed forces are always aggressive more to us. But what we can say is that our politicians did it to us. They should have never allowed them to come over here in droves like they did. And then when they did come over here, they should have never put them and dumped them in black communities, acting like we didn't want economic development, like we didn't deserve better schools and deserve community centers and deserve grocery stores. We deserve better. And our politicians need to act like it. Stop putting everything before.
See, black people are waking up. It's facts. It's facts. Black people are waking up. And that's the only way that these communities are truly going to be saved. I said I love Tucker Carlson. You know, I'm going to play a couple other clips because, you know, and it's Anna Kasparian, right? I wanted to mention this earlier when I was playing her clip. But it's good. Anna Kasparian, if you guys don't know, with TYT, with the Young Turks, she was a hard leftist. She was a libtard of libtard leftists, right? But you know what happened? She started to research on her own. She started to research that the Armenian genocide was way worse than the Holocaust. She's Armenian American. She started to learn some truths. She's still learning, and and it's good to watch a libtard leftist get red pilled, right? Or at least to wake up and see them come out of the matrix and not be part of the matrix and see everything for what it is, right? So that's why I like Anna Kasparian right now, because I'm seeing her wake up. I'm seeing her not be, to be for America. I say to be for America first, because I'm America only. I have to be honest. I'm more than America first. I'm America only, and I see how we're occupied. I see how we're controlled by a foreign country, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth.
The prime minister of Israel goes on television to openly meddle in internal American politics, taking sides, attacking people, Americans, because they're not fully on board with sending billions more to a country of 9 million people.
He talked about the woke right, and he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies. We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok, number one. And the other one, X. So we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. We have to fight the fight.
Anyone who opposes me in the United States, who opposes more aid to Israel or opposes getting sucked into war with Iran, which does not serve American interests, that person is not simply mistaken or wrong. I'm not going to bother to explain why that person is wrong. That person is a Nazi, part of the woke Reich, a Nazi. And the only way to fix it is by preventing Americans in the last country on earth with guaranteed freedom of speech, prevent Americans from hearing the other side. And so we push Congress to force a TikTok sale, which is true, by the way. And when that happened, and various members of Congress were like, no, really, it's about China, there were people online who said, no, I think it's really about Israel. Here he is just admitting, no, we pushed the U.S. Congress to censor in the United States, to commit censorship in the United States, because we think it's bad for us. And we need to talk to Elon. That's the point at which you just say no.
There you go. We're going to end on that note. There it is. We have to fight. We have to fight and continue to fight for this country. So, hey, I want to thank everybody for coming down. Hey, man, sorry for the music, but I'm going out anyway.
Silence.
Hope y'all tune in. Hope y'all have a great week. Thank you for tuning in to the Radical Republicans live show. Thank you to my guest, JJ CARRELL, who always brings the fire. We'll be here next week. I got a special guest next week with a special topic next week as well. Same time, same place, every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Radical Republicans live show with your hosts, Jerome Bell, the J Black Mamba. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Stop.